So my first guest, and someone who you'll be seeing quite a bit of in the future, is an amazing guy and a really good friend of mine. He's a former collegiate athlete that is now working as a medical software analyst for a multinational contract research organization. One of the reasons why his story speaks to a lot of people is that he doesn't have a traditional background that you might assume someone might have in the software technology field. After attending one of the top 50 coding academies in the nation, he found himself in a great career, and he wants to talk a little bit more about that. He and I both give our thoughts on the whole learn-to-code phenomenon as millennials in the Midwest, and we offer our perspective, a personalized first-hand perspective of what it was like going to one of these coding schools, and is it for everyone? Is it as simple as just saying, hey, you lost your job or your industry's dying out, just learn to code? So anyway, he's a great guy. I'm sure you guys will love this episode, and without further ado, God. Again, it's the first time I'm doing this. So, anyway, he's a great guy, and I'm sure you guys will love this episode as much as I loved recording it. And so, without further ado, here's Luke Cureton. All right. Luke Cureton, I think we're good.
We're good to go?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me get this real quick.
You got to make sure you're all good to go.
Yeah, I don't want to be too tall for it or too short for it. All right, we're good. Like Andre the Giant, like you. I can't just fucking.
Luke, how the hell are you, man?
I'm good, man.
Good.
Been doing my thing a little bit,
Yeah.
It's been a while. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man.
See you. Good to get started here.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're kind of figuring out what we're doing with this a little bit here. So there's going to be some growing pains along the way with this podcast.
100%.
So yeah, bear with us, and we may change studios. We may do a whole bunch of different stuff. So yeah, we're just kind of diving into it, learning as we go, which I think for me is kind of the best way to,
just dive right in, man.
Just dive right in. Bingo.
Shoot first.
100%. All right. So first of all, man, how are you doing? Who are you? Who is this person in front of me right now?
One of the greatest guy you know. But
okay.
Other than that, name's Luke Cureton.
Mm-hmm.
24-year-old, Indianapolis native.
Okay.
Just hang around, doing all my thing. Not doing much, but,
Luke, what do you do for a living?
I mean, I don't really want to say because I don't.
All right. This is really a great start for this whole thing, man. I'm really glad I decided to invite you on this.
What's funny about it is because personal, I don't know about personal.
Yeah?
But I will say I do a tech job.
Okay. You're in the tech industry.
Yes, I am the technological industry, yes.
Okay.
I work downtown. Is that good?
That's good enough.
Downtown tech company.
Yeah.
Okay. But basically what I do is I just go through and I can't actually say because
yeah, because you're like under like an NDA or something.
Yeah. It's the feds. I don't want anyone to bust the door down.
Well, all right. Well, we won't actually divulge this kind of stuff, but yeah. So with this, kind of an extension with the digital Fireside is that I wanted a good person to bring on board here to kind of talk with other people and sort of, I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. Talk about like his own experience in terms of like how you got to what you're doing and where you are now, in hopes that maybe someone listening to this or who is maybe considering a career change or something like that might be motivated or inspired or maybe curious enough to try and pursue something in the tech field, as you so nebulously put it.
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess I can start from that segue. That's pretty good. I guess where I start, I'm a pretty lucky person, pretty lucky to have what I have, pretty lucky to have gone through what I've gone through and learned what I've learned. But overall, like I started out as a criminal justice major at IU. I got to IU by playing baseball, and I was a baseball player. So that was always the goal, is to go play professional baseball. I was good enough, always thought I was good enough. And things happened to where, specific people got in the way, myself included, and some pitfalls happened. Speaking with a new coach, when I got there, my coach believed in me, and then he got a good job over at Arizona State. And so we don't blame him for leaving. We don't blame him. Take me with you, I wished, but he didn't. And then the new coach did, and check this out. That guy who is the recruiting coordinator, when you're in high school, you send like messages like, hey, I'm blah, blah, blah. This is what I do. This is what I hit, my batting average, blah, blah, blah. You send it out, right? He sends it out. We have a conversation for about like a month. And then he finally comes out and says, hey, yeah, you're not good enough to play here at this school. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I go, okay, I'm just going to go to IU then. Fine. It was whatever. A couple months, obviously a year. Going into the next year, because of the success of my old coach, he gets the job. And then the ones that interviewed, the one guy that got it was that coach that said I wasn't good enough. So we hit it off real well. And, you know, things were looking okay at the time. I mean, I didn't see myself as, like, the starter or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But I didn't see myself off the team, if that makes any sense at all. Because I was, you know, I was assuming I was going to get play time, assuming I was going to do well, and then just, you know, go junior year, senior year. Then I did my part in getting myself off the team by grades. I wasn't, you know, up to the standard of Indiana baseball. But at the same time, he couldn't let that go, I guess. Man, it's hot in here. It's so hot in here.
Is it really?
It is hot.
You could turn that fan if you want.
I'll turn the fan.
I'm good for now, so. Yeah, that's the one there's insulation. It's not very.
It's all.
I was seeing that you're like sweating.
It's so hot in here. But yeah, and so with that whole thing, I get kicked off, and then I was supposed to come back. And he's like, yeah. I was like, well, if I'm going to be off the team, can I at least come back and, like, try out as, like, a walk-on and then just restart? Because at that point, I was like, there's no way I'm not going to make the team. He knows I'm good enough. Like, he's like, yeah, we're going to have walk-out tryouts and see how we go from there. So the whole summer goes by. And I'm, like, just going to call just to make sure. I was like, hey, you know, are you still doing walk-ons? He's like, yeah. So this is, like, July. So August comes around and school's about to start. I'm moving in. I'm doing my thing. And then I get all my stuff ready, and I go up to the field, and I'm like, hey, I'm here. When do you want me to start, like, coming to practices? Because I know you guys have started already. He's like, oh, we're not doing walk-ons, like, at all. I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, we decided not to do that this year. We have too many incoming freshmen. So I was like, which they did have a lot of incoming freshmen, but at the same time, you couldn't have told me, like, you know, 3 months earlier. Yeah. So that cuts, like, a whole year of trying to get myself out there to another school. And so at that time, too, I was like, all right, what do I do? Because I was really taking the possibility of, like, baseball might not be a thing anymore. So I was like, what do I like doing? What always made me happy? And that was technology. And I was always good at it. I was always had, like, a quick knack for it. And I always want to help people, too. So doing those two things combined and helping people, that seemed like the positive thing to go. So I dropped criminal justice, and I went to informatics. And then by that time at informatics, though, I was about to transfer because my buddy my roommate said, like, hey, I'm playing for this team this summer. You should play for us, right? And so I'm like, all right, whatever. What's the harm that could happen? So I go out there. I do really well, like unbelievably well. And one of the coaches is like, all right, I'm going to call this guy. He's going to come see you play. And hopefully, you know, for this school, this smaller school than IU, but still very reputable, see how that goes. So I play really well. First game he comes, I go 3 for 3, home run, double, the whole 9 yards. He wants to see me play more, but at the same time, he's like, I know what you can do. I don't really need to. So he tries to offer me, but at the same time, since I had that year off, I'm now a junior, and I need more credits so I can transfer. I was 4 credits short of going to that school. And so now I can't transfer. I lost a year, 2 years really, because of that year I was ineligible. And I'm getting older, so no one's really going to want you if you don't have, like, a resume behind it. And so, like, I kept, you know, calling other people just in case this coach wouldn't work. This is before I knew that I was 4 credits short. And then he finally calls me. He's like, hey, we can't get you in, but I know, you know, of a D2 school, a buddy of mine that coaches it. He can get you in and it'll be fine. So I went to that school. That school didn't have informatics. So I had to do kind of like a general studies type thing. I graduated, still, you know, finished my baseball career. It was all, you know, happy, fluffy ending. But then that's what led me to, you know, a certain place, right?
Certain place, right?
Certain place, and that's where I met you.
Yeah. Well, before we get too deep into that, how did that realizing that you were wildly successful at this one aspect in life, or not to put you in a box, but I'm saying this is one of the things you were very successful at,
right,
in baseball, and kind of like coming to terms that that may not be a permanent career, that may not be something. I mean, was that something that was difficult for you to kind of like process, if that makes sense?
Oh, no. I mean, excuse me. It was definitely something that you're not ready for. It's one of those things in life that you're just like, I mean, you just don't know how you're going to react until it's you. And you see it all the time, and you hope you learn from people in front of you, but until it's in your face, you don't really, it's too late, right? And I'm just lucky to have the people around me that kept me, one, distracted, and two, inspired to keep going. Mm-hmm. And without that, I think that things could have turned out really bad. But at the same time, because I was in a dark place, like that was like the first time in life that things haven't gone the way I wanted them to go. Mm-hmm. So you don't know how to handle that. But on top of it, it was like the worst fall anyone could really have at that age that I was. So it was like, you're not mature enough to handle it on your own. Yeah. And you've never had any type of difficulty of this magnitude. And so when you fall, you're falling straight through the floor and into the basement. You're not just like tripping. So that, it was not fun time. But the people around me, my boys still acted like my boys. They didn't like, the people on the team, they didn't act like they didn't know me, Just everyone around me was great. But I can see where if you don't have that, you can either, one, just be really strong-willed and just be like, all right, I'm going to find something. Something's going to get me out of this. But at that time, I didn't have that type of drive to where it was like, I can still do this. I can do that, because I was so centered, like you said, I was so centered on doing this one thing that this was it. This was the way I was going to live. And then it was taken away from you. And it hurt even more because 50% of it was my own fault. Because if I had never had, not done my homework or something, there was no real reason to get me off the team, right? Right. Because at the time, I don't know if the rules changed, but the Big Ten can't just cut you based off of your talent. You have to have like a reason of like off the field issues or something like that. And so there was his out to get me off, and then that's what it was. But it was definitely something that it's hard to talk about, but at the same time you have to talk about it so you can learn from it, and you realize who you were, especially then, because I was not weird, but I was kind of an I guy back then, like all about myself, which I think after going through something and having other people pick you up and realize that it's not all about you, that's something that I wouldn't say everyone needs to go through, but it should experience something like that in their life so they can have some type of perspective on it. I don't know if you've ever had something like that to where it's like, I thought I had it all together, but then I got hit like a truck.
Brother. Yes. Yeah. I think it's very rare to go through life without encountering situations like that. I think that, at least for me, that was an opportunity, and clearly for you, I mean, that was a opportunity, even though it didn't feel like one at the time, to really kind of help rebuild yourself, pick yourself up, and discover kind of like a fearless sort of introspective look on yourself, and like what really, okay, well, if I don't have baseball, what do I have? Or what? Right. What's interesting? Yeah, I mean that's huge, and that's especially with like, because I mean I kind of grew out of sports around high school, and I didn't really get that serious with it, but like, I mean sports are huge, especially in the Midwest. Like it's like almost cultish in a weird way, where it's like, they're celebrities. I mean, the people that are really good, they are,
big fish, little pond type thing. It's
bingo.
Like, there's not a lot of dudes walking around that are that good, Yeah. So, I mean, like when I said, like when you fall hard, I mean that, like think about that, like not just like a simple, like, oh, I failed the test, blah, blah, blah. No, like at that moment, it was like the worst of the worst. So I had like, if anything was where I got kicked off the team, I had bad grades, so you had to get out of that hole. Right. And on top of that, I got sick with mono. And so it's just like when it rains, it pours, man. So it's like I'm just like dying. I'm like, oh, God, life sucks. And then, you can't even talk. I was sleeping for like 2 weeks. Yeah. You couldn't even go to the class to fix those grades. Right. And then life just goes – like the weirdest part is that life just goes on without you. That's what's something that was hard for me to grasp is like, God, everyone's still doing stuff. I mean, yeah, you know it. Like, that you're living your life. She's living their lives. But at the same time, the people who are close to you, you think are like, incorporating, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, you forget, like, no, they got their own things. They keep on stepping even without you doing yours, And it's just kind of a weird thing.
It's the
really
like
weird.
I remember that aspect where I think it was the first time I really realized that I think it was when I was 19.
Back in 1860.
Yeah, back in 1860, good times. But I think it was when a friend of mine passed away at a really young age. It was very tragic, but I think I thought that there would be more fanfare, I guess, or like people would stop longer than they did, but like literally like in the most unfiltered way possible. Like life just keeps on going on. People have their own shit to worry about. Like you stop and you grieve and you move forward. And I think for me, because I mean I lived a pretty sheltered life, I think, up until about college. And that was kind of me in my own sort of own little way, kind of realizing that it's not, life kind of isn't, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, like it's not necessarily like a movie where it's more like something tragic happens, something is terrible, but everyone kind of just marches on. And
like they've seen it before.
Yeah.
Or they're going to they know they're going to see it again or something.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know how long ago that was, but it's kind of completely contrast to what you see.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
it's pretty long.
It's like completely contrast to what you see today. Like once a tragedy happens, everyone's got their phones out and flipping them out. And they're not like, thinking of what you're thinking, even though it's someone close to you. They're not analyzing it in a certain way, like something happened here.
Yeah.
They're looking at it like, oh, I got to make sure everyone knows I was there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. Like you see like a big event or something like that, and people just, they're not present in it. They're just, they had their phone up to their face. Yeah. Like, oh, I'll look at it later. I'll post on Snapchat.
These kids these days.
God, I really am from 1860. Jesus.
God. I don't appreciate anything.
Well, so you kind of picked yourself up, and from there, finished school, and
graduated, Belmont Abbey. Let's go. Raise the red. Let's do it.
Perfect. Great.
Yeah.
So then, where did you find yourself after that? Because I know after that, you kind of made a decision to continue with schooling. But like, what was that like after graduating? Before you decided that?
Well, after graduating, since I had a really good second half of my career, I was trying out for some teams, hearing some feedback. Tried out so I graduated in May. Ended up trying out for teams about 5 or 6 until like August. Mm-hmm. Then I was just like, all right, well, not really happening. Got to move on. It sucks. I put my best forward, but the reason why I was doing this because I'd hate to have like no closure with it. And that's like one of the worst things I think a lot of my friends and players, that get their careers cut short is that they either got hurt or something, or like they got cut or something. There's just something that hindered them from finishing. Mm-hmm. And for me to have it sounds so cliche, for me to have put my best foot forward and then been told no, it's fine. It's not fine, but it's easier to handle than just no one knocking at the door, no one like just, as if you didn't exist, Mm-hmm. It's like there was interest there. But at the same time, I think it was just the time I left, there was not a lot of need for outfielders at a lot of places because you can move anyone to the outfield kind of. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's part of it too, because it's not like no one saw us play or anything. But yeah, so August came around and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to work at Best Buy anymore. so I'm going to figure something out. And then someone came to me and was like, hey, you should try this coding school out. I know you're good with this type of stuff. So I was like, all right, well, I'll give it a shot. Did some research, saw what he was doing after, and I was like, yeah, I'll go for it. Turns out that everyone in my class, including you, had theirs paid for.
So there are benefits to not finishing college.
That's the thing too. I do think these schools are for people who are looking either like 40 at career change, and I don't mean like in the obvious sense like where they advertise it. I mean it's like the jobs you get after. It doesn't matter what projects you're doing. Like the jobs you get after, or the interests you get, are all pretty much based on your skill as a coder, but at the same time what you've already done. So like just like any other thing. So if you have years of management or managerial, or you have like a master's or something and you can do the coding thing, it's like you get flooded with opportunities. But if you're just like a guy that has like me, you just had a bachelor's degree and you have coding and that's it. You know, you could be a personable guy, whatever. It's just kind of like, all right, thanks for coming in. Number 82, please come into the room. It's like, man, it literally feels like you're just another fish in the ocean. I don't know. Is that how you felt when you were? I mean, I know you had things lined up.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was always something. So to give some more context with this, Luke and I met at a one of those coding boot camps towards the tail end of last year, and we were in the same class together, graduated at the same time, and this just became inseparable ever since. You know, just
he went over to me at lunch. He's like, "Hey man, I don't want you to know anything. I don't want anyone else to know, but
this is not.
I created Ben Drowned.
It's not
a big deal.
This is not.
I'm not a hero
at all. My God.
I'm not a generational talent. Okay, I'm just a guy here eating lunch with you, who I don't even know your name. What's your name? That's exactly how it happened too.
Lucas?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Don't ever say that. I hate when people have. It's not even the same. It's not even the same word. It's not even the same name. Gosh.
Luke Cureton.
But no, I mean, I think going there was a really, like, I wouldn't say eye-opening or jaw-dropping experience, but it's an experience I needed to have because I wasn't lined up to go to secondary school or anything like that, and I needed to find something. And the people I met, including you, just like people that you wouldn't meet anywhere else. There's some eccentric characters there.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, some good, some bad, but at the same time, you know,
it's a mixed
just
bag. But it is fascinating. I was telling a buddy this the other day. They need to make like some sort of reality TV show.
I was thinking like Office style.
Almost really because of the. I think eclectic is a good word. Where it's just this group of personalities that would never interact with each other in a million years, because you have people that are, 40s looking for a career change, 30s that are trying to do their own thing, people that are nerds, jocks, somewhere in between. We had a bunch of hipster kids.
We had like 18-year-olds that just graduated high school.
18-year-olds, yeah,
that didn't even want to go to college,
and that would never interact with each other in a million years.
And they're not who you picture.
Yeah,
they would be
together.
Like if we gave you like matching, like as if you're like a kid trying to remember something. This personality with this picture,
yeah,
you'd get like one or two right out of the 30. There's no shot that you'd be able to match.
There were so many characters, because then at the very end you had to work with 4 of those people,
right?
Essentially, and it was a mixed bag who you picked, or you didn't get to pick. I mean,
you didn't get to pick.
Yeah, no, I know. But
pent up. You want to talk about something?
No, I'm good. I graduated. But so
scammed, you mean?
Yes. So I think it's really interesting how coding has become so prevalent in the past decade or so in terms of like being a valid career path. And it's always been a valid career path, but I mean more along the lines of like we're talking about that whole like learn to code thing on Twitter or whatnot, where people are telling, coal miners to do it, truck drivers to do it. I mean, I'm only speaking for myself here with my experience going through this boot camp, and I don't think that it's as simple as taking someone who's been in a field for 20 years and saying, hey, do this.
Wipe the coal off your eyes.
Wipe the coal out of your eyes. Do this project. Do this, 3-month, 4-month commitment.
Yeah,
it's a full-time job, and you'll be working overtime.
Some 40 hours a week or so, yeah.
If not more than that.
It's legit.
And, there you go. That's your answer. That's your answer. Yeah. There's your nerd career.
And then when you have questions, it's like, oh, well, figure it out yourself. It wasn't like, oh, here's this, and this. Which, the instructors are great, personality-wise. But at the same time, they were like, one was phenomenal no matter what, all up and down the whole board. But most of them were like, okay, well, we'll let you figure that one out yourself. Well, if I knew, I wouldn't bother you by asking.
But see, I think that the thing with that is that you're learning how to more effectively Google issues, because I don't know about you.
That's true.
But literally,
hell of a Googler.
This is what the hell I do.
Google ever needs a job
yes.
opening and a guy to fill it, please be the fastest Googler of all time.
But I feel like a good portion of your work as a software developer, especially as a junior developer,
Copy and paste.
is going on Stack Overflow or
and
Word,
just taking someone else's work.
And like, just like how
and
can
like
I
rewording.
this?
It's like school. It's like what you do for whole school. Just make it look a little different.
Yeah,
make it towards us.
So anyway, back to my point. I think that because there was probably 2 or 3 people there that were over 40, right? We had one 45-year-old, one 50-year-old.
Yeah. And
so 2, right?
A couple 30s.
Yeah.
A couple 30s. 2 or 3 30s.
But I think the people that were in there were already pretty gifted, I think. And they were already pretty intelligent. And I think it's disingenuous to tell Mr. Joe Coal Miner to just be like, hey, you know what, just do this. And
you want 6 figures tomorrow?
It's like a scam.
Come
like
pay 6 figures to our camp, and we'll see if it happens.
Yeah.
We're not going to guarantee any placement after, but come see what we got.
Yeah.
Check out the wares.
Well, I think
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I think that coding obviously isn't going anywhere, and it depends on what kind of boot camp you go to. But I would say that it's definitely a good tool to learn and use no matter what. And, I'm probably not going to be a software developer as a profession for the rest of my life, but I think, I'm already not, but I think knowing that stuff and having that skill set is very valuable. It couldn't hurt you. If you could take the time off, if you can invest the energy and time to do it, it is very difficult. Scholastically, it was probably the hardest thing I think I've ever done. And I'm glad for the experience. I think it was important, and I think that there are jobs out there for sure. It may not be instant placement, but I think that there are jobs out there for sure, no matter where you are, that it's a more definitive career path, I think, than like putzing around in your early 20s,
right, waiting to
yeah.
climb the ladder. But, so do you think that you could have done some of the things that you've done as a professional after this before? So do you think like you could have learned this stuff by YouTube or some type of online course for way less money without having the hands-on experience? Or is the hands-on experience more essential to the type of learner that you are?
Well, that's a good kind of question because I think that the craziest eye-opening thing for me was I think about halfway through the program, and I was working late because I'd missed some time due to work because I had to juggle a job as well as do this because,
Oh, and boy, did we hear about it. Ugh.
Can you people believe? No. So I think it was more along the lines of me sort of realizing that all of this stuff that they're giving us, the materials and all that stuff is all available online if you know how to look for it. So you can teach yourself for sure, but I think there is something to be said about having that classroom experience because I'm a very external person, and I think that having a environment that is conducive entirely to learning, development, and that kind of stuff, and being around those people and asking those kind of questions is beneficial. Because that stuff was on the internet for a decade or two, and I didn't
been around
look at it
until
last few months because I didn't have to. Self-discipline is something that is probably something we all can improve on.
Oh, no, yeah. Because that brings me to another point is that with other people around, you can also see where you're gauging. So how well am I actually getting this compared to someone else who's been doing it for the same time? Which, you shouldn't always compare yourself to others, but at the same time, when you're in the competitive world, jobs and stuff like that, you need to have some type of bar to set yourself to.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, or is it kind of like, no, learn at your own pace? Because the things like that, learning by yourself online, that is the definition of learning at your own pace and doing it. That's like for someone who is comfortable with their job, but like in a year now is going to try to make the transition, the pre-work type stuff.
Well, because I think that, I don't know, because you're not going to be, when you get hired to do a job, you're either going to sink or swim. And for me, that experience at the academy kind of helped prepare me for that because most of the first month on my job was spent frantically trying to learn because it was a different framework than what we had been taught. And, it's that pressure from the academy helped kind of prepare me for the pressure in the corporate world, because it's like if you struggle in a coding boot camp, it's not like they're just going to there's fail safes in there. I mean, there are things that they're cushions. You're not going to fall all the way.
That's true, yeah.
But we did have people fall all the way.
Very, very far. Very far,
so we had 8 people?
They were flies on the wall, man.
Yeah, pretty much. But
murked.
In the corporate world, if you're not performing,
we got the next guy up, man.
Yeah, there are plenty of people that want your position. So getting used to that pressure, I think, is cool, and it's good. But
so how's that, other than the professional world? Has that helped you with anything other than, let's say, has that helped you with, I don't know, something as simple like a family, or learning how to be a little bit more temporal? I don't know. Has it helped you in other aspects of your life other than being in a professional setting?
Yeah, I think that coding is very high stress. It can be very high stress, and every time I had run into a bug or an issue that I felt was impossible. Typically, this happened more so working after the academy. But, for example, at 9 or 10 a.m., I would work on this bug or this piece of code, and by lunchtime, I would be completely demoralized and feel like I would never figure this out. Take a break for lunch. Think about what the hell am I going to do now? I'm going to just go back to trying to get YouTube Buddy or some shit. But and I would come back and by some miracle or whatever, I would find the right questions to ask Google to get me thinking.
The almighty Google.
The almighty Google, to get me kind of thinking in the right sort of pattern. And I would typically almost always achieve my task by the end of the day. And I eventually just kind of learned from that, where it's to just be patient and not catastrophize, I think. And that bled into other aspects of my life as well. But I think the biggest thing that I learned was, dude, there is everything on Google.
You don't say.
People get paid 6 figures for coming up with answers that they just find on Google. That peeled away the biggest thing, because I talked with a lot of people in software development that have, in much more senior positions, people make a ton of money, and it's not they're very smart, of course,
but the work isn't taxing.
Yes, so it's you just kind of, I think growing up, you have this.
You want to say
you
pedestal, I guess?
Maybe, but you had this sort of vision of someone making $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 a year, and you think that, man, this person must be firing on all cylinders, and there are plenty of people that do that.
So
sure.
Guy on a pedestal, but it's whatever. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's fine.
Tomato,
tomato, potato.
But it just was kind of crazy to get out there and talk with other senior developers and people, on LinkedIn and that kind of stuff, and really sort of just be shocked almost, to be the job is crazy hard and difficult, but it's not insurmountable,
Right, and that's the same thing though. That's why they always, with these jobs, they always have the environment to help you out. So what you're saying, Google, everyone knows their campus is ridiculous. They have lounges and sleep pods, and they drive you to office building, and it's with the golf carts and stuff. It's there's beach volleyball, and then if you go to the Michigan one, there's still the same type of stuff, just worse weather. So it's just it really helps you. Okay, well, like you said, I'm gonna go to lunch. Well, no, I'm gonna go hit the I'm gonna play some corn.
Hit the juice bar.
Get the juice bar. Get some cornhole bags, as they say back in the I don't know, the barracks. I don't know.
What are you talking about? What kind of Google thing are you talking about, man?
The Army, man. The Army, yeah.
Google in 20 years from now.
But yeah, it's definitely something that would help. I mean, for me, it's helped dealing with stress. That's mainly the main thing that's really helped me with. I mean, other than a career, obviously, but in my other aspects of my life, just like you said, like going through processes of how to deal with something that experience has made me, like you said, more patient, but at the same time, more aware of what is actually going around. So, like, usually things that would set me off right away are like, you'd have to do it 3 or 4 more times. They still set me off, but you'll have to do it 3 or 4 more times because I'll analyze why you're doing this or why it's happening this way.
It's maybe more analytical.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, so I'm not, and it kind of makes me more, I don't want, it kind of makes me want to teach other people how to deal with these type of things, because now you're living this way, you don't want to see other people flare up from being mildly upset about dumb things as well. Or I shouldn't say dumb things, but just little things.
God, it's hot in here.
Yeah, I told you it's hot. You want the fan?
I do want the
You
fan.
want the fan?
Can you
I'll
turn
do
the fan on me?
Does it reach?
Oh, God, that feels great.
Yeah, it feels great, yeah. See, I've gotten a lot better. Because
I saw that your brows.
Yeah. No, I'm all good. I need a personal napkin guy.
Well, we need to bring it out of the ways next time.
Yeah, we need to bring
one for each side.
a whole bunch of.
Just have it like a circle around here. Yeah.
Just get a cool breeze. Cool breeze. Leave the door open.
So I mean, I would say coding is not for everyone, but I think it could be potentially for anyone in terms of like the walks of life. Like there's no right or correct path, because you were, an athlete. I was
not a hero.
You weren't a hero.
Not a hero, just an athlete.
But I was whatever the hell my 20s were. And we have people that, business owners. We have DJs. We have that one guy. YouTube.
DJs. I know what you're saying.
A YouTube
I was thinking
Let's
about
player
it.
or whatever. I think that, and there are people that have no real technological background as well that, excelled at that place. And I think that if you are on the fence about doing something like that or making a career change, I would not let the fact that you may not have a specific background preclude you from it. But at the same time, I would also say that, like, it's not for everyone. And I think people that are doing and people that are doing drive-by Twitter posts or whatever, telling people that lost their jobs in a completely unrelated field that, here's a simple answer, just learn how to code.
Everyone's doing it.
It's so stupid.
It reminds me the way they do that is that it reminds me, because you do see those everywhere now.
Yeah.
It reminds me of those old Embers commercials. Do you remember that? There's this black guy with the tilted hat. He'd just be like at 1 o'clock in the morning just screaming at your TV. And he's like, "Let's go to Everest College. What are you doing, man, with your life?" And it's just like,
I feel personally attacked
yeah,
right now.
I don't know if I want to. I'm just like, you know what? You're right. I do need to get my life together. Everest, where you at? No, it's just like, I don't want to go there. That's the type of people that are coming.
Yeah.
And it's just, he'd like walk off and like huff, like walk off. It's like, that's not it, Chief.
That ain't it, man.
That ain't it. But yeah, that's what it reminds me of. They're just everywhere on social media. Come here. And then especially the cookies, because now we're in it. My cookies, it's just literally every post is a sponsored post by some camp. Some guy that's like, this is the best software out. Spend $300 on this software right now.
Did you ever get those, God, what the hell is it called? Wix, I think, was the ads. I see those all the time on YouTube.
Where you like build your own website?
Where it's like this guy is on his computer, it's like, hey.
yeah. Sometimes it's like a celebrity.
Yeah, it's like, hey, check this out. I made this
dude.
awesome, sexy Instagram page for my website. I'm a social influencer. I made it using Wix. It's super easy. If you already know how to code, that's fine. But if you don't, stick around. I'm like, fuck you. Like, you can't skip these ads. They're terrible.
And that's the reason why is like the best is like when someone that you recognize. So like it is the celebrity, and it's like, well, I know Jay Farrell was on with us. Like, you're not doing anything. You're on SNL. What? You got a guy to do that for you. You're not making your own site.
How much does this pay? What is it? Wix?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's just people out here trying to scam, man. Scamming.
Well, they're just making money.
Oh, now it's just the hustle.
Well,
now it's just the hustle.
Can't
I
it be
respect.
both? Does it have to be one or the other? Like,
I mean, as a journeyman yourself, I mean, I guess that's kind of how you defend your own, right?
Yeah.
I'm a videographer here, been drowned All-American here, just doing what I actually want to hear that. I think it's been a while since we've heard the origin story of how you came up with Been Drowned, and the good people here who have supported you throughout it deserve to hear it again. And for the new guys, new women and men, sorry, they need to know too. They're like, who is this guy?
Who is this sexy, curious?
No, just
guy?
who's the guy next to the sexy guy?
Well, I don't know, man. I think that I kind of win in that aspect.
Okay, well, just tell the people. Then.
We'll just put up to a poll. It's fine. You already got a fiance. I mean,
it doesn't mean
I
any less.
I gotta woo single female listeners on this podcast.
Doesn't mean it's any less sexy. Does not maybe any less sexy.
Yeah. I
do you think Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel do that? I'm like, you're not sexy anymore. We're married. No, they're bringing sexy back.
That's true.
That's literally what he said.
That's a really good point, Lucas.
Yeah, thank you. I'm about good points. But yeah, go ahead. Go
okay.
Ahead.
Well, for people who don't know who I am, I am Alex Hall, and I wrote this story that ended up going viral back in 2010. It was originally this like transmedia project where it kind of incorporated multiple aspects of entertainment, like YouTube videos, written posts, evolving dynamic website that changed based on input and output from its users.
Extremely well done, by the way.
Thanks.
Extremely well done. Proud of you.
Proud of you. Ended up going viral, and I've been. It was called Been Drowned, and I've been sort of figuring out the next kind of logical move with that since then. I've talked with a few people out in L.A. and a few different movie studios. Ironically, the first one that approached me, it was back right when the story came out, and he was trying to pitch it to the executives at his specific studio, and he said he was having a hard time conveying it to them because they're like a bunch of old rich white dudes. It's like, what is this fucking YouTube?
Well, tell them what it was about. Like, tell them what.
So,
don't tell them the whole story because you want them, to click and watch them. But at the same time, tell them,
just so you got these ideas.
Yeah,
you got to click.
It's coming, man. It's flowing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So there's a link below now. But it's basically about this guy who comes across this Zelda game cartridge at this old garage sale. He comes back and plugs it into his Nintendo, and he starts playing it, and immediately sort of realizes there is something wrong with it, or it's acting atypical. And he starts going to the internet asking for help. And basically the next few videos that he uploads from YouTube are videos that I've made that I went back into the code for Majora's Mask through an emulation software, and edited the game files to basically do what I was writing about. So it was adding more like proof to it, I suppose.
It's crazy, man. It's where it all started.
Yeah. Look at me now. So yeah, it ended up kind of going viral, and it's sitting at some amount of views on YouTube today.
Whatever. Just a little amount.
Well, it's something. I haven't checked it in a little long time.
I'm not a hero. Okay.
Not a hero.
Not a hero.
Jesus. So,
just an internet sensation.
No, not really. I never was into being that YouTube famous thing, which is funny because I was thinking about that the other day.
I was never really into it, but I was thinking about it the other day.
I was thinking about it the other day. I was wondering if I had known today what
would have happened,
how prevalent YouTube would be in everything now.
Oh,
I wonder if I would have changed my mind about that back then. Because
that was 2010, so
almost a decade now.
Yeah, that's a good amount of time, especially with what has come out since and the oversaturation of content.
Yeah.
So, video game stuff is by far one of the top earning type things on YouTube.
Oh hell yeah! They have that. What's that guy's name?
And reviews.
Ninja, I think, is that.
Yeah.
Professional esports player.
His name is Ninja. He plays Fortnite. Goes on Ellen. Acts like
is he on Ellen?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Acts like it's his game that he made. Meanwhile, the guy who made No Man's Sky from scratch gets shit on for having a shit game because it was incomplete. But I can make millions of star systems interjoin each other, and he can. I could play a game really well. Pay me money. That's literally what happened to him.
But you know what? He's an entertainer. You can't knock the hustle, man. He is an entertainer. At some point, he speaks to whatever his audience is. I'm sure it's kids, but
hey man.
But dude, he's making crazy.
Yeah,
money.
no, he got paid a good amount of money. I think it was in the millions, but I don't know how high in the millions. But it was in the millions to play a game at a certain event. We could look that up sometime, but he's literally like the guest of honor type thing.
Wow.
And he's gonna play at this little event, and we're gonna watch him play. Yeah.
See, here's something that I feel comfortable talking with you about because I actually do watch one esport. One.
I know what it is. I have a guess of what it is. Can I guess?
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Fighters.
No. That's a great guess. That is a fantastic guess. I watched like animated GIFs on Reddit of that, like of good players doing these crazy, I don't even know what they're called, TODs, whatever they are, or it's just one combo just kills this guy. Anyway, dude, Dota 2.
0 to deaths. I'm pretty sure you're talking about 0 to deaths, but go ahead.
Maybe. I don't know. But Dota 2 is like the one game that I will watch professionally, and I really enjoy it.
It's not too slow for you?
No.
I feel like it's kind of slow. It's the point and click type version. You know?
It is. So
it's a real time strategy RPG.
Yeah, it's a MOBA, and it's something because I used to play. I used to play it because I can't remember the last time I played it, but I used to play it back in like 2012 when it was in beta, and
God, you're old.
it was. Oh, you weren't alive back then, 2012,
No.
little baby. And it took me, I think, 100, 200, 300 hours to even be not awful at it, and I still was very bad at it.
Yeah, you were not a casual, but you weren't anywhere near.
I would argue that
it
it was very much still casual
still
after
casual?
300 hours. Yes.
Jeez.
So then,
What a learning curve.
it's so insane, but it is the most fascinating game for me to watch, and I can't get behind watching any kind of FPS esport or Fortnite or any of that kind of stuff. I like Dota 2 because they have this thing called the International that's every year, and they have I think it's typically the highest. I don't know since Fortnite came out if it still is, but before that it was the highest grossing tournament prize period, I believe, in esports. I think. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong.
I think League of Legends might have it.
It might have beaten it. Yeah.
Especially in recent years. Especially you said 2012. That's like
No, the International wasn't around. I don't think.
okay, because League of Legends it got huge.
Yeah, well, I mean, League of
Around
Legends,
that
I
time.
think, is the bigger dog, but I like Dota because there's more mechanics in it. So it's like, even when it's slower paced, there's still so much going on behind the scenes, and you usually have like two announcers commenting on these fights or these matches or whatever they're usually always like British or something. So it makes me feel like I'm watching soccer, which is like kind of cool in a weird way. But they'll freak out. They'll start shouting and yelling, and they'll like, "Oh, he's got the double kill, and he's going for the run, and he's gonna do it. He's gonna do
That's
it."
pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
Bad.
Thank
But yeah, I mean that does get you hype.
It is
Instead
so
of being
cool.
being all right, some American accent.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah,
This
what's up?
Future Trucks 420. Today we're gonna play Rainbow Six Siege. Shout out.
What I do hate is when you go online and you go on the line, as they say, on YouTube, and they have the reviews. Some guy's reading a news article, and it's just like Call of Duty gameplay. And it's just like a dude, the FPS just running around, and he's like just talking about something that's unrelated to a video game, but he's having you look at video game gameplay of something that's just not interesting.
Huh.
And I say that
that's
because
weird.
Call of Duty, for a lot of people, I can confidently say is not interesting anymore. I would say a lot of the new stuff is the Battle Royale, but as of right now, I feel like Call of Duty is on its way out, for sure.
Finally.
I don't think the FPS is out its way because Apex just came out,
Oh yeah.
but that blends both.
That's
that
true.
blends the Battle Royale and the FPS. I think the way of Call of Duty, I think it's on its last 2 years.
What do you think about these as an athlete yourself? What do you think about these like?
Sports simulation games?
No. What do you think about these really good esports players being called athletes?
Oh, I mess with my brother all the time about that
Is that
because
like a
he
fucking
plays
travesty or what?
he plays professional basketball over in Australia, and I
Yeah.
just kind of tease him because like the 2K league,
Yeah.
and they'll say, Chad Smith, point guard. He's some like 5'7", chubby guy. It's just like, I don't know if you're running the point in my Y league. It's just. But yeah, no. I mean, I'm all for it because I see the type of skill it takes to be good at these things and the time it takes. I mean, there's just like any other thing. There's prodigies. There's people who are just really good. But at the same time, like, you're not just going to be able to get – because it's so small right now that you have to be that good. So, like, you have to show some type of respect where it's due to where, like, even the 2K League, there's, like, 5 people per team or something like that to where – because there's only 5 positions on the court at a time. They may have – because I don't think they really need subs that much. They might have 2 extras, so 7. I don't know. But even on the League of Legends teams, there's, like, 6 on a team, something like that. So, I think that they should be called athletes because of –
you think so?
Who they're reaching. I mean, hey, man, if bowling Charles Barkley said it best. If I can do something while eating a pizza, it's not considered a sport. a pizza slice in my hand, I think is what he said. Not actually a pizza. But if I could do an activity with a pizza slice in my hand, it's not considered activity. I don't think you can play a video game with a controller or a keyboard and mouse with a pizza slice in your hand.
I don't know, man.
I don't think you could, especially those games.
Civilization 5, I could probably play with a pizza.
Yeah, you see that? You see that on the big stage?
Yeah, no.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, I think it could be a sport.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe.
I did bring up another question that I asked my brother the other day, just kind of like in jest. But do you think PEDs are a thing? Do you think like Adderall is a PED in the esports world, like fighting game community or something like that?
Yes, 100%.
But I mean, like, obviously, if you prescribed it, you're cleared. But because like Adderall and stuff like that is not allowed in sports because obvious reasons, you're very attentive and I remember I was playing baseball. People who took it, they said they like, have beach ball eyes. Like you can see the ball, it's like here, and they'd always have a crazy games, For people who didn't need it, because people who do need it, they just get reset back to normal. Mm-hmm. But the people who don't need it get like a boost, so like almost heightened abilities.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. Do you think do you honestly think that's a PED? So like if Sonic Fox got caught with,
Is he the
he's
furry guy?
He's the furry guy. He's the guy with the fox head.
Did I message you because we were watching the the Game Awards or whatnot?
Yeah, you did. I don't know what you mentioned to me.
Well, it was when that Persona guy got announced for
Joker.
Yeah, and Dragon Ball Fighters, of course. But didn't he get up on stage in his fucking Fox uniform?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think he totally
Think about that.
He
does that because the type of person, if you ever heard him talk, God, this cough. You ever heard him talk, he's not the type of person to like, he just wants to stand for something. He's not the type of person to be like in your face about it until you make it something to be in your face about. So like he'll go up, the reason why he wears it is, this is my perception, is look at this. I'm about to beat your ass in this game you think you're good at in this get up. I don't think he wears it around his house. There's no shot. But the thing is, like, I'm going to wear the silliest outfit.
Yeah.
I may like it or not, maybe a furry, whatever it is. But at the same time, I'm going to wear this, kick your ass, and then jump on stage and flop around and be like, yeah, I'll do it again next week.
That's funny.
I think, and he's only like, what, 20?
Something like that.
Making like, because he wins all the time, making like $80,000 a year playing video games. Who knows else what he does? Because he gets sponsored. You probably make money off of sponsors.
Yeah, but I think
he's a signature game controller, probably signed. Here you go, kid. Oh, Dad, Sonic Fox signed my controller.
Get that furry shit out of here.
You're not coming back ever again.
Get the fuck out of my house. But yeah, I think that, I don't know, dude. Adderall. I mean, I've taken Adderall before, and like.
Yeah, but do you need it? Did you need it?
No.
So yeah.
No, I mean.
Absolutely not. Have you used it though and played a game?
Yes.
How did you feel playing it?
I was really into it. I was super into it.
I think it should be considered a PD. If it's not, I don't know if it is, but if it's not, it's just a question.
Aren't we agreeing on that though?
I don't know. Did you say yes?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I think we're agreeing with it because that would be so unfair.
Oh fuck yeah!
If someone is already good and then you get something like that and you're just in another world.
Yeah.
Because I mean, but when you played, how long did you play?
Brother.
How long did you play?
Shit, man.
What's your longest marathon?
God.
And what game was it?
I have to say, and keep in mind, I used to be a huge nerd. It was in college, and I think I was playing Cataclysm the World of Warcraft expansion, and
Leroy Jenkins.
Oh god, I don't even remember how long that was bad. It was, oof. Because I remember it was like right around the time I finished writing that story, the Ben Drown thing, and that expansion came out, and I was just like, well, I'm just gonna sit and play this for like a week and a half.
I'm in college, whatever.
I'm in college,
work.
whatever.
Yeah.
Because it came out around winter break, I think.
Oh, that's perfect timing.
It was perfect timing. But I think I got like a crazy achievement on that for doing something really quickly in the game. But I would 100% say that Adderall is not good, first of all, and it's a performance-enhancing drug, second of all, for sure. But
because the longest one
Yeah,
that
what
I've
about
done,
you?
I've had a long one, and the game, it was not too like far away from today. It was actually, I mean, you could say relatively, but it was in 2015. It was when I was kicked off the team, and I had nothing else to do.
I get it.
And all my friends, my roommates at the time, were on the team, so they all had to travel to Illinois to play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? Well, I'll flip on The Witcher 3 here real quick and just bang out some levels.
That's not a bad game. If you had to pick one game in 2015 to get really into, it's not a bad
I
choice.
started at 12.
Okay.
I ended at 12.
It's pretty good.
It's 12 hours, man.
It's pretty good.
But the thing that's like weird about it, I didn't get up the whole time. So I didn't go to the bathroom the whole day. I didn't eat the whole day. And I wasn't I wasn't on any type of medicine either. I was just me. So I can only imagine how long I could have been awake and doing that.
That's like some deep vein thrombosis shit, where you get that aneurysm in your leg. And you
Oh
just
yeah, no,
die.
it was weird because I got up because I had a little chair like sat down. It's kind of like a gamer chair, but it wasn't.
Mhm.
So it didn't have the nice support. I got up and I literally felt like I had aged 20 years. like I got oh man,
Oh God!
Jesus Christ, Austin! Oh crap, everyone's gone. It was a weird feeling.
Fucking. Did you at least? Did you beat? No, of course you didn't beat the game. How far did you get?
I got pretty far at that point. It was like mid game stuff.
Nice.
So a lot of the
Excuse
time
me.
was beating the first boss. I forget his name, but he gets up out of the throne. Have you played it?
I beat it.
Yeah, he gets up out of the throne and is the first like wild hunt guy.
Oh.
And he's like got all the girls around him and stuff.
Oh,
He gets up, he's
yeah.
just like looking at you, walking to you and hitting you.
Yeah.
I couldn't get him for a while because I'm a big like believer in not looking up stuff until it's the time to look up for stuff. So like I'll die and die and die and die until I just need to get through the game. And you know, because at the rate these games are coming out, man, you gotta have time for all of them, right? So I just kept doing it down. I kept dying, and I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll look it up. So the first time I looked it up, beat him right away. And then it's the exploration part that got me because I was able to do so much stuff after that. I was like, all right, I'm just going to skedaddle over here. Some drowners pop up, //. Some humans looking at me crazy. I said, what's up? //. You know, it was a game that it's designed for you to do that.
Yeah.
Which I feel like, well, kudos to you guys. I mean, you got your accolades, whatever. We all know it was a good game. But at the same time, I was like, I didn't think that, because I don't know what the one before. I never had a marathon before that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
That's
I think
pretty intense.
3 hours might have been, like, the most I ever played in one sitting.
That's
But
pretty intense.
12 was no eating, no moving. It's a sad life. Like I said,
Living it up,
I
man.
said, when you get down, man, it was through the floor.
Jesus
It
Christ.
wasn't just
I mean, all things considered, that's a pretty high bottom. I wouldn't worry about that.
free Saturday. Just
It's one day, dude.
one day.
Speaking of dying a whole lot, that kind of jogged my mind. You were talking about that new From Software game. And I still haven't played it
Sekiro.
yet. Yeah. Have you beat it yet?
Hell no.
Oh.
I don't know if there's a man in the world that's beating it. I'm just kidding. But
I'm
yeah, but
sure.
it's a tough one. I mean, you go up on all these YouTubers and you look at them, rage is just all across the board.
Is it harder than the third one? The Dark Souls 3 or whatever?
Is it harder? I think it's not as cheap. There's a lot of cheap deaths in Dark Souls series, and everyone knows that. So like, the lighting or sometimes the camera and stuff like that. Like Sekiro, if you do things right, you should win. It's not like something that'll happen. Like, and the patterns are easier in that game too, though. So Dark Souls does have harder patterns to get, and you can't really block enemies. Like you have to get out of the way. And in this game, you have to either block or like kind of like grapple hook with your left arm like out of the way, because dodging is like you're gonna get hit anyway, because they kind of designed it so where like it's different from Dark Souls. So if you try to play it like Dark Souls, you won't be good at it. So you have to kind of take your strategy and shove it out the door and just learn this new game. Like guys, it's not Dark Souls. We're done with Dark Souls. We made a new thing. You're gonna play it the way we designed it. That's kind of like how you feel when you play it. And yeah, no, it's definitely like next level type like difficulty. So like normal guys at first, I mean, you die like 4 times, 5 times, and all of a sudden you just get a handle on them. You go through those guys like nothing, but it's the creatures and like the humans are no problem. It's the creatures and bosses, the mini bosses that are like, dude, like what the hell? Like, I don't know. It's kind of like one of those games when you made on like Miniclip and like you would make a map and you can't like publish the map until you beat it. Kind of like Mario Maker. They did that in Mario Maker to where if you make a map of Mario Maker, you have to be able to beat it before you can publish it to the internet so people can try
that's
it.
kind of cool.
So, do you think they did that with this game? Like, yeah.
No.
We'll beat this first, and then we'll see if it's possible. But no, I was just going to compute.
Sure, some poor QA guy eventually got it right, but
I don't know, because I don't know how many patches these type of games get.
No,
difficulty patches and stuff like that.
maybe.
I don't know. There's actually, like, people putting up content like, does Sekiro need an easy mode?
That's dumb. I think the easy modes, though, it defeats the purpose of that kind of stuff.
Right.
I think it's a digital bragging right or whatever.
It also feeds, though. Like, that's the like you said, that's the pull of the game. Is like, oh, it's so close.
Oh, sword.
So hard. I was 1 hit away. Damn it. I'm going to spend another 4 hours doing it. That's the pull. I don't know. I mean, I on your side, the Fireside, I don't know if you even challenge yourself with games like that, though. You stick with your Halo and your Devil May Suck Dick.
Okay, well, it's called Devil May Cry 5, and it's a fantastic game. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a stupid game.
It's a great game. They made it after 11 years. It was great.
There's a reason why it took an 11-year hiatus.
Because they tried to reboot it, and it didn't work well at all.
Okay.
It's got like a 90-something on Metacritic. It's great.
Great, isn't it?
It was really cool. I beat that in like a day and a half or so.
Oh, so it was short.
Well, I also played it pretty obsessively. It was pretty cool. Anyway, let's see here. Let's get down to wrapping this up. I'm trying to think how we should close this stuff. I mean, what I'm thinking is it's because we're all still figuring this sort of stuff out. How do we... I guess so. I mean, Luke, where can people find you on social media?
All right. I got 2 public social medias. I got one Twitter at Indy Chubbs, just at Indy Chubbs, INDY.
Okay.
Chubbs. And then also Instagram at Indy Chubbs. It's the same name. It's pretty easy.
Very cool.
What about you?
Well, right now you can find me at Alexander D. Hall on Twitter. And that's pretty much the
Is that a big D or like a little D?
That's a pretty big D.
That's a pretty big D.
That's a pretty
Okay.
goddamn big D. But that's pretty much all I'm using right now. I'm not a huge proponent of social media. I think it's, well.
Oh, here he goes again.
No.
These kids these days.
These fucking kids.
God damn it.
A girl died the other day
Jesus.
taking a selfie, trying to like do this daredevil selfie thing. She fell to her death off like a hiking trail. It was ridiculous. This is what social media is doing.
How old?
She was like, I don't know, in her 20s or something.
Jeez.
She's not a kid. Like, she's an adult, a grown one. Well,
yeah, I mean,
rest her soul, but.
Yeah. But at the same time,
it's
one of those things. It's like this could have easily been prevented.
Yeah.
Because was she by herself?
I don't know.
Because if she wasn't by herself,
you expect me to read these articles?
and
I just see the headlines and I infer everything based on the headline. Okay?
Oh, kind of like everyone on Twitter for their news.
Yes. Yeah. So we covered where you can find you on social media. Do you have anything to promote?
For our local people, Victory Field Classic, Guerin Baseball. Come see us play. I'm a assistant coach there.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
Just doing a thing on the side. Come see us play. Tickets shouldn't be more than like $7.
Okay.
See some nice baseball. We're finally getting some good weather. Get out there, Indianapolis, man. Do it.
Very cool. All right. Well, typically this part we're going to have emails for people that write in, but considering we haven't even launched this officially yet, we have nothing.
Right.
We have nothing. No one wants to talk to us.
It's a light night. Light night. Not a lot of
Light
inbox there.
Light night. That's
Light
good.
night.
White night. Light night.
Light night. Yeah. Light night.
But if you do have questions or things you want to write in about, you can write us and contact us at contact, that's CONTACT, at thedigitalfireside.com. Contact at thedigitalfireside.com. Contact at thedigitalfireside.com.
Luke,
thank you so much today, man.
It was a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Let's get this thing rolling.
Let's do it.
Thanks for joining us today too. There's always room in the fireside for you guys. Good people.
Is that your thing? Is
No,
that how you're signing off?
my thing is that I'm not a hero.
Well, we already knew that, but I'm glad.
I mean, I'm just trying to keep it real. I just want these guys to know I'm just a regular guy. I'm not a hero.
Baseball player extraordinaire. Not a hero.
Not a hero.
Not a hero.